Welch here, Taylor Kia Findlay's Coaches Chronicles of the Week with head soccer coach at Findlay High School, Kevin Shenise. So I wanted to bring you in and we're going to talk a little about your guys' season. It was pretty successful, I understand.
Yeah, we had a really good season. We had a nice long tournament run, which is something we're always looking for. We had a great group of kids in the program, from all three teams. And that was really a nice blessing for us to get back on the field with all of the COVID stuff going on.
So with the COVID issues and everything, it probably created a little bit of havoc on what you can and can't do with practices.
Yeah, absolutely. We had to, when we started back in June, we started out in groups of 9 kids and a coach, and able to progress into being, full groups and games and being able to get all of our season in. We didn't miss any games because of it, which was kind of nice that the boys were able to have a full season.
That's awesome. So this ended up being your third season, if I'm correct, at high school.
That is correct, yes.
As the head coach, and then before that, how many years were you the assistant with Gaiman?
I was the assistant with Bill for 4 years before that, and then I've been in the program this would be my 15th year at the high school.
That's awesome. I mean, pretty extensive soccer career at high school, and you played some college ball yourself, correct?
Yeah, I grew up playing soccer. I played from the time I was 4 years old on through college, and still attempt to play now. It doesn't work out as well, but we try to get out and have some fun with the boys once in a while. But able to play at West Virginia University for some time and had a nice high school career as well.
So 14-5-1 this season. So when's the last time we had a season like that?
We've always had successful seasons. As you look back through the records, we typically are a double-digit win team. So we're trying to get to that 10-win mark every year. That's a pretty good year for us. And you go back through the history, we haven't had too many seasons where we haven't had that. But to get to 14, for us, that we had to play some extra games in a tournament to get there, but very successful season overall.
That's great. And then due to all the cancellations and everything with COVID, the fact that you got in all of your conference games was unusual as well, right?
Yeah, because in the conference, Fremont Ross had some trouble, so they ended up not having some games. Lima Senior had some trouble, so they ended up not having some games. So for us and a couple other teams, we were able to get everything in and get a full conference schedule as well.
That's great. So 5-1-1 in the conference, but that gave us second place, correct?
That is correct. St. John's ended up winning the track because of our loss to them 1-0 in the regular season.
Which is probably bittersweet because we have that issue. We seem to have that issue and that little monkey in our back every year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They're a good team. They've been Findlay High School. The history of Findlay High School has played St. John's a ton. Findlay and St. John's were one of the founding teams in soccer in the state of Ohio. So we go back a long history of playing each other, whether it's in conference, out of conference, playoffs, those sorts of things. And so it's always going to be where we look to see if we can beat them. It's a mark that we look for. And it's obviously a rival, that it's a conference foe that we want to beat. They've won the track the last couple of years. That was no different this year.
And then obviously with us both being in Northwest Ohio, we ended up running into them again in the district finals.
Correct.
And who got the best of that game?
Well, we won that one, and we had a long conversation after our regular season loss to them, which ultimately cost us the track title. And we wanted an opportunity to maybe get one back on them later in the season, and we got that opportunity and took advantage of that opportunity, to win a district title, which is a fun feat in itself, but to be a rival in that game, it certainly is a little bit sweeter.
So Dave Harris, dad of one of your soccer players on the varsity team, works for me, and he said that he thinks that the kids were actually more excited about the fact that they beat St. John's in that game than they even worried about the fact that they just were district champs.
Yeah, it's instilling. We talk a lot about the high school, the tradition and the legacy of the soccer program. And one of those things in tradition is that game and trying to get the guys to understand what that game means for a lot of people that played soccer at the high school and what it means to a lot of folks in this community. And I think they understand now what that tradition means and what that rivalry is like. In sports you always have a rivalry. Right around here it's Michigan and Ohio State, and Ohio State's had the better of them and Michigan fans don't like it. It's the same thing, we're trying to get our kids to buy into that and understand what that tradition and that rivalry means.
Yeah, that's really good, and I noticed it's really exciting. My son, who's a JV player on the soccer team, was excited to hear. He texted me right away as soon as he found out, and then of course my wife texted me right away. So the word traveled fast, and everybody started talking around town that it was that had happened that Saturday afternoon. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I got a lot of messages from guys that had played in years past in the high school, and some guys that had played years ago. Hey man, it was really awesome that you guys won the district title. It was even better that you beat St. John's to get it. Guys that were, 40s, 50 years old, Albert Laux, the original coach at the high school, was at the game. I got a nice email from him, a text message saying, hey, that was awesome. It was really exciting to see.
Ah, that's great. Now, first time we went to the regionals since 1995?
That is correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
So we're running into a really tough team where we basically can use that and let the kids know that there's a whole nother level out there, right?
Yeah, in the regional semifinals, we ran into Anthony Wayne, which we had played earlier in the year. We ended up going to PK shootout in order to win that game. And then, obviously we were able to win that and go on to play Medina in the regional final, a team that we hadn't played at the high school. So for us to get the opportunity to play a really solid team, going into that game, they'd only given up 3 goals all year. So you look at, they're 19, 20 games in at that point, and they've given up 3 goals. So we know we have an uphill battle going into it. A team that we haven't seen, a style of play that we're not used to. The kids they're getting challenged in a different way and have to step up in a different way.
Now, being the head coach of the high school, Division I varsity program is pretty time consuming, along with the fact that you're the fire inspector here at the city of Findlay, correct?
Yes, it keeps my days full. Obviously I have a full-time job, coaching's not it. So I'm able to work my schedule around and be able to be there for the boys and run a program, which, especially with the COVID stuff this year, was a little bit more time consuming, and the extra stuff and the steps that we had to make and constantly plan for, and bumps along the road that came up, and dealing with those as well.
So we got a pretty good group of kids coming up. I mean, I know you always hate losing seniors, and I know there's a few seniors in that class that were pretty good that everybody hates to lose, but it's just the way the system goes, and kids graduate and move on. But your soccer program, from what I understand from talking to some other parents and stuff, is pretty strong through 11th grade down, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. You hate to lose guys, and a couple seniors that will certainly stand out as being 3-year letter winners for us is Carson Dale and Ryan Cusco. 2 solid starters for us throughout the year. I think they started every game this year. And with Carson, that's a lot of offensive production. I think he had 19 goals on the season, and that's been pretty consistent for him in his high school career, is to get about somewhere between 17 and 19 goals every year. So we're losing that production, and then with Ryan Cusco, we're losing that defensive product. Ryan, I think he played every minute of every game until that last game I took him out just a little bit before the end of the game. But he really was a grinder and a warrior for us all year. So to lose that leadership, he was a captain for the team as well. And certainly some areas that there's younger guys that are going to have to step up and take those positions and do some things. A couple guys that towards the end of the year, Marshall Frankfurter, stepped up huge for us. We had some guys banged up, we had some guys out, and at the end of the season, he really turned it on. It was a difference maker for us towards the end of the year. So for those things and those kids, there's younger kids that are there. We have a huge junior class, and I think if I remember correctly, there's about 24 juniors in the whole program. So obviously we do have some juniors on JV that are going to have to step up, moving forward. For us, we've got some kids that were on the team this year, that were sophomores. Arda was probably one of the more predominant ones throughout the year as a sophomore, and we'll need to see him continue. But we've got a couple other sophomores on that roster, on our varsity roster, that we'll be looking for those guys to step up. A nice surprise for us this year was the addition of a freshman, and not a lot of times do we get a freshman where they really make an impact. And Lewis Warner came in towards the middle of the year. Started getting his feet wet a little bit, and really was an impact player towards the end of the year, and had a couple nice goals for us in the tournament run. So, in the high school, we like to say that the cupboard's never bare, and this is certainly one of those years that it's not. We'll graduate 6 kids from varsity senior level, so we've got some holes to fill, but there's certainly kids in the program that can step up and take those spots.
That's awesome. I talked to Nate, the athletic director, and also talking to Coach Pease about football, and it seems like the junior, sophomore, and freshman class, he was excited about all 3 classes, as well as an 8th grade class that he's got coming in, and obviously will be freshman next year. And some of the changes that the football team had taken on, and the kids met the COVID stuff, took it head on, were excited about the season. Everybody knows Coach Rookie's got a great group of kids that play basketball, and then with you guys having soccer as well, heard some really good things about girls. So it sounds to me like athletics for the next few years at Findlay High School could be really good.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I think for me and the program itself, getting to where we were able to get to this year, certainly raised the bar and the expectations for everybody behind them. You know, this is where I would like to be, if not further, every year. And I really want to get back to that. So, and I think, you know, being able to, even though we lost to Medina, but being able to get to that game and see that, you know, some of the comments from the boys were, I understand why you make us do things that you do in practice. It makes sense now. I see the why. And, you know, so we're constantly trying to get them to be students of the game. And that film will be huge for us moving forward to show the boys this is what you have to compete against if you want to be the best. And, you know, if we can raise our level in Northwest Ohio, then, you know, that'll certainly help to get the one trophy we didn't get, which is a league championship.
Yeah. So I know everybody here was excited because we have kids. I have a kid on the team. David has a kid on the team, obviously. And then, you know, with all the messages that got sent around the community and stuff like that, everybody was excited about the season and definitely looking forward to the next, you know, next seasons and beyond. Is there anything you don't get a chance to have a banquet this year because of COVID? So is there anything you want to say to the kids, anything you want to say to the parents and the coaches or anything before we let you go?
Yeah, you know, I mean, we've had a great group of kids and parents. You know, a lot of people have stopped and said, hey, man, that was really great that you guys had a great season. And I give a lot of credit to the parents and the players. I mean, they were asked to come in with no expectation that we would even have a season. They were asked to come in and get their temperature taken every day and do daily checks and assessments and symptom checks and all that stuff. And asked not to come to practice if they didn't feel well and to get that done. And so, you know, I certainly couldn't have done it. We couldn't have done it without them. And as far as the players' commitment to that, whatever I asked them to do, whatever we asked them to do, they were there. They were ready to go. There was never any complaints, you know, and they really were excited for the season. I think they realized going into this year how fragile their season could be. And, you know, when we started in June, there was no guarantee that they were going to have a season anyway. You know, we're preparing for something that we have no clue whether we're going to have. You know, so I do give a lot of credit to all the players and all the families and the parents, you know, that support us along the way, whether it was, you know, trying to get tickets for watch their kid and, you know, all of that, you know, factors into a lot of things that we don't normally deal with in the season. And they took it in stride and, you know, no complaints, and we're here for you, whatever you need. And so those things are certainly appreciated. And, you know, from the school standpoint, you know, Nate and his Carrie did a great job for us, you know, making sure that everything got taken care of. There was never any questions. You know, if I had a question about something, they were there to answer it. You know, and they worked their tails off probably harder than anybody ever realizes, trying to get tickets out and figure out how many people we could get in the stadium, and making sure we've got thermometers and all that fun stuff that, you know, they don't normally deal with. But they were happy to do it for the boys and make sure they had a season. And, you know, I think that, you know, maybe a nice thank you for them is the season that we had.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we here at Taylor Key are excited for you. I know the community is excited for the program, for it to continue on. I know my son is excited. Hopefully his foot heals since he's broke it 3 years in a row. And he can help contribute to the next season and stuff. But good luck with him in the future, and hopefully we're going to have you on the show a lot more times.
Yeah, that sounds good. We're excited.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That's it from Taylor Key Findlay with head coach Kevin Shenise from Findlay High School Boys Soccer.